Later, Fae stands in front of the council table, waiting for the elders to appear. Rays flicker through the symmetric patterned window behind, creating shadows and beautiful designs. Across the shiny, polished wooden floor, the elders appear and take their places. The high priestess sits in the middle on a beautiful, ornately carved throne, with 2 seated females on one side and 2 seated males on the other. Various people stand on either side of the room. The high priestess stands, places her hands on the table, and leans forward to greet Fae. Welcome. Fae, we are happy to see you are well alive, but now we have things to discuss. The council, like many, is naturally surprised by Fae's rebirth, since the bloom is hardly talked about in society. Just another mystery of ether. The meeting begins, and the high priestess speaks. Your recent, unfortunate encounter with Ulysses was reckless, foolish, costing you a full life, as well as your actions, allowing this creature to escape into hiding. Still a threat to the people of the land. But aside from this troublesome mistake, we, the elders, would like you to please explain what transpired on that day. Fae explains the entire event, including the conversation they had once she learned, the basics of his language. She explains that Ulysses was not evil, just lost in a world he did not understand, looking for the humans who created him and others like him, none of whom he had found alive at that point. When Fae gets to her death, she becomes visibly upset. I do not remember much after his attack. One of the elders asks about the language Fae quickly learned from Ulysses, and whether she would teach it to the elders, done by speaking it aloud, so Pixie can learn and pass on the syntax and basics within minutes, but only if the teacher agrees. If not, it can be blocked from transfer to another, even if spoken. Fae is about to speak, when a loud voice comes from the main entrance. Fae cannot teach you this language. People turn to look. Meridian walks with purpose toward the table and stands beside Fae. What is the meaning of this? The high priestess responds, showing her disapproval of Meridian's outburst. Meridian apologizes. I mean no disrespect. High Elder, this language is a curse language and should be studied by the community library historians first, as its misuse could affect the ether field, disturbing the balance of our realm. Meridian is right, of course, having lived among humans for over a century, realizing the complex, spell-casting nature of human language, which could create chaos in a realm where ether can be manipulated by speech, whereas the languages spoken by pixies and other races are naturally aligned with the mysterious ether field. The elders discuss among themselves, 2 elders, 1 male and 1 female, disagree but are outvoted by the others, and Fae is requested to teach the language to Professor Arcuna of the community library, who is best suited to learn and will help with his research studying the old world. Fae can now also read the books and documents much more easily than before. The lack of understanding of some subject matter is frustrating at times. Later, Arcuna agrees to the transfer being done. At a skyship ground maintenance station on the edge of Deruin Valley, an open area 20 leagues northwest from the great central tree of Woodsgrove, Celine is parked on a giant 300-foot steel and wooden frame for repairs and maintenance. There's a lot going on. Welders on lowered platforms beneath the hull repair one of the 4 engines. Various work on the top deck includes valve repairs, cables run along the deck floors, and blimp Zeppelin pumps check pressure. A clumsy troll worker drops a heavy wrench from a height, just missing another worker. Sorry, friend, he shouts nervously. It's chaotic and normal for Grinois and his rough, tough troll crew, some of whom are elves and Noonians. Grinois stands on a raised platform at the center back of Celine, holding the bottle with the pixie light inside. Opening the aether coil coolant chamber, he hesitantly opens the bottle and releases the bright glowing orb. For a second, it flies randomly around Grinois, knocking over a small water container, splashing onto the wooden platform, much to his annoyance, before flying into the chamber as he closes the hatch. Grinois just grunts. Later, the work is done, and Grinois fires up the engines, while Celine is still anchored with locking clamps on the huge skyship docking frame. The engines purr like they are brand new, sounding magnificent with no stress on the coils, even when the power is turned up. Time for a real test, me loyal shipmates, shouts A very happy Grinwa. Sees crew, unlocks the clamps, and the 200-foot skyship rises smoothly above the platform. The huge ether coils glow with pure power. Grinwa and the crew cross their fingers as Celine picks up speed. The power builds, and the ship vibrates for a few seconds. A critical moment. Then, the vibration ceases, reaching the sweet spot of the engines. Celine is now at full power, with dials showing a 16% improvement in engines and coils. Grinwa and the crew cheer, some throwing their hats in the air. The next day, Maya and Meridian met in secret on the outskirts of Woods Grove in the tranquil tiny village at the deepest part of Darwin Valley, Riverview. Nearby stood a small wooden dwelling resembling a roundhouse, topped with a thatched roof, beside the central river of the vast valley. The two sat at a table as Meridian prepared some shroom tea, her hands trembling slightly with the weight of unspoken farewells. Meridian spoke, her voice a fragile whisper laced with sorrow and quiet resolve. "Oh, Maya, my dear one, soon I must leave this weary realm for a new world, as the years have finally caught me in their unyielding grasp. But before the shadows claim me, I beg you, hear this message with your heart, for it is the last gift I can give you." Maya listened intently to what Meridian had to say, her eyes brimming with unshed tears, and after a while she respectfully left the dwelling as per Meridian's final request. Meridian had explained that Faye would need to be closely watched, as her new abilities would cloud her judgment and she would make many mistakes before she could master her increased ether levels. Faye would think she was invincible, a side effect of the bloom, and she would burn out very quickly using high levels of ether. She must learn to use this energy sparingly in stressful situations, such as the coming battle with Ulysses. She must learn to control this power before any attempts were made. She would be unpredictable and dangerous if this power overwhelmed her in public spaces, much worse than the tavern incident earlier. It would be a difficult time for Faye, and she would need regular healing at one of the many shroom gardens. The bloom had unpredictable effects until she became stable. Many other things were told to Maya concerning Faye, but for now, Maya must respect Meridian's wishes, to not disclose anything she was told to anyone, only just enough to help Faye. Maya agreed, her voice catching in her throat as she murmured, "I promise, old friend, for you, for her, I'll carry this burden as gently as I can." Maya then boarded a beautiful, gold-room-covered wooden steam-powered riverboat back to Central Woods Grove. An ominous feeling overcame her, that Meridian had now died and moved on. Maya knew that Meridian was meant to go at this time, since her work was done and she could now rest. Meridian's body was later buried in a fairy mound with ceremony and honors, a tradition of the old world of fairies. Elsewhere, Faye is at home, outside in an open grassy area, holding two 15-inch katana blades, testing and honing her sword skills by attacking an upright, thick tree log. She has not used blades in many years, but now feels she needs to brush up on her old skills. Circling the log in a hovering flight motion, she unleashes a whirlwind of precise, whistling strikes, each slice carving deep, curling ribbons of bark that spiral into the air like fleeing spirits, her body twisting in a graceful, athletic dance that blurs the line between predator and phantom. Her wings brimming with ether, she hovers backward away from the log and lands on the ground with a soft thud that stirs the dew-kissed grass. She has a sudden flashback of the tomb. Something stirs within her, a rage, raw and volcanic, surging through her veins like liquid fire. Her eyes ignite with an unearthly blue glow, her wings unfurling and expanding in a thunderous rush of shimmering membrane, casting jagged shadows across the lawn. Faye takes a running jump toward the battered log, her scream ripping through the air like a war cry from ancient depths, propelling her higher than ever before in an explosive leap that defies gravity. Both swords thrust skyward, blades catching the sunlight in blinding flashes. She descends in a ferocious arc and cleaves the log clean in half with a deafening crack that echoes like splintering bone, the sheer, cataclysmic force sending the two severed halves hurtling across the lawn in a spray of flying splinters and pulverized wood, tumbling end over end until they skid to a halt amid the trampled grass. This shocks Faye. She turns, then crouches low, her breath ragged, and silently stares at the destroyed pieces of log, amazed by what she has just done. The slow realization dawns that she briefly lost control. This bothers her, but she quickly shrugs it off. Faye then slides the blades into the sword sheaths on either side of her upper waist, just below her breasts, then enters her circular home and sits at a table and drinks shroom tea to settle her nerves. Faye, realizing the power she possesses, starts to wonder what other new abilities and skills she has that can protect herself and others from the strange beast, Ulysses. Courageous and curious, she intends to find out. Mid-afternoon, the golden light of the sun shines through the skylight above Faye's main room, a mixture of light and dust permeating the air, creating a slight ethereal mist. The sound of water rushes outside, flowing under the dwelling to the other side of the outer henge. Faye hears the sound of fluttering wings, then a knock on the door. Faye shouts lightly, "Come in." Maya enters the room and speaks in a firm tone. "Hello, little sister. We need to talk." Faye puts a teapot of water on an ornate wood-burning stove and makes up 2 cups of shroom tea, a Fet Fae tradition welcoming people to the home. "What can I do for you, Maya?" Maya starts to explain what Meridian disclosed earlier, informing Faye that Meridian has passed on, inducing tears from Faye. Maya hugs Faye to share a moment of sisterly love, then continues to explain what she needs to do concerning her new abilities, and how she needs to master controlling what she has become, and to spend as much time in the local shroom garden to speed up her healing for at least 15 turnings of the moon. Faye is hesitant to mention losing control earlier. Maya senses this and presses home how important it is that she be honest. Faye relents and discloses what happened. Some time passes, and Faye nods in agreement to what she has learned. Maya is about to leave but has one more disclosure for Faye. "Sister, if you are tempted, you must not go after Ulysses until you are ready and others can prepare to hunt him down. Promise me. You have no second life to throw away this time." Faye reluctantly agrees and will keep her word. Maya is concerned and still a little upset at Faye and knows how reckless she can be in some dangerous, daring situations.